Hello besties! Welcome back to my channel. I know it has been a very long time since I have posted anything. I will probably address that kind of thing in a weekly vlog for you, but I am trying to come back. I am trying to get back on track with all of this. There's been sickness in my house. There's been mental health things going on in my house. That is just kind of where we are, but I figured first video back, I'm gonna go ahead and do a big birthday book haul. So I celebrated my birthday over the weekend, and in that time I went book shopping for myself and I received lots and lots of gifts from friends of mine. So we're gonna start with the gifts I got from people, as best I can anyway. And some of these I've actually already read, so I'll talk a little bit about them, but for the most part, I haven't read a ton of these. First things first, let's talk about what I got from friends of mine. So I got this one from my friend Brittany, who I have met through my Discord channels, and she said, "Happy birthday, Kristen. I hope you have the best day. I'm so happy we've met. You're the bee's knees. You are also the bee's knees, Brittany. And P.S. This book looks so good. OMG," from Brittany. That is The League of Gentlewomen Witches by Indina Holton. Now, I have read this entire series, including this one. And this one is the second book in the Wisteria Society of Lady Scoundrels series, and then The Secret Service of Tea and Treason is the third one. So this one fits like that. So this whole series is a absolute delight. So basically with this one, it's like take pirates and make them ladies in England who drink tea. Or instead of boats, they have flying houses. So it's all very snarky, it's all very witty, it's all very funny. And then each of these books connects because someone you've met in this book is going to be your lead in this book. And someone you've met in this book is going to be your lead in this book. And so this is the series. I'm not sure if there's gonna be a fourth one, but this one follows Celia Bassingthwaighte and Ned the Lighthouse. Ned is a pirate who is actually hired to assassinate Cecilia, but obviously it doesn't work out. She's very witty, she's very funny. He is also very funny. She is a thief, a proper British thief. And like I said, he is a pirate, and it's all just it's very fun. It's very swashbuckling with being in the sky. They're very witty. My dog is scratching her back. You'll have to, I have to apologize for that. Okay, are you done? Okay, moving on. And so then it's all fun, it's all games, there's love, there's romance, there's really interesting scenes in here. And then this one is following Charlotte Pettifer and Alex O'Reilly, and Alex is actually who you meet in this one. And then this one, The Secret Service of Tea and Treason, is following Agent A and Agent B, who actually is Daniel Bixby, and Daniel Bixby you actually meet in this one. So it's all very fun, it's all very goofy. I listen to them, they're great to listen to, they're also just great to read. I highly recommend them, but I got this one for my birthday from Brittany to complete my lovely series. So thank you, Brittany, love you much. So then I got Emily Wilde's Map of the Other Lands. It's book 2 of the Emily Wilde series. I read the first one, I really enjoyed it, it was a delight, and so I'm really excited to read this one. I'm not gonna go too much into it. Just know that Emily is a scholar, and in the first one she is in the fairylands, and she is she's basically creating an encyclopedia of fairies. In that book, her nemesis Bambly shows up, and it's just a lot of interesting storyline, very interesting plot, back and forth. It's really great. In this one, it just kind of seems like she's writing a map of the fairy wonderlands and things of that nature. So obviously I've not read this one yet. I'm very excited. This one came from my friend Danny. Danny, I adore you. And so yeah, I'm really excited for this one. And then one I have actually already completed because it was given to me and because I've been wanting to read it, came from my friend Jules. Says, "Happy birthday, Twinny. Hope you have a lovely day filled with books and pizza. Love you," from Jules. And that is A Funny Story by Emily Henry. I've already finished this book because if it is an Emily Henry book, I will eat it up. It took me 2 days to read this book. I found this book absolutely delightful. So you are following Daphne. She's uprooted her life and has moved to Michigan to be with her fiance Peter. At Peter's bachelor party, he realizes that he's actually in love with his best friend Petra and ends up obviously calling off the wedding. Daphne moves in with Petra's ex-boyfriend, Miles, because she doesn't have anywhere else to go and she's looking for jobs somewhere else, but she has just gotten her dream job as a children's librarian at a library in Michigan in this little town. And so she is decided to move in with Miles because Miles had a room and she needed somewhere to go because the house that she was in was actually Peter's house. And so everything's been uprooted. Her life has been turned upside down. She keeps to herself, doesn't have a lot of friends, and really just kind of made her life revolve around Peter. And so she eventually ends up fake dating Miles to kind of try to get them jealous, but obviously things play out differently and it becomes an actual really funny story. The banter in this is wonderful. The relationship between Miles and Daphne is adorable. The relationship between Daphne and Ashley, who becomes her best friend, also wonderful. So it's all really great. It's a great book. I enjoyed it. I know that some people have Emily Henry issues and not a huge fan, but can you stop that? I really enjoyed this. I had a great time with it. Like I said, it took me 2 days and that's a record because I have been in a reading slump and I haven't really read anything. So this one. Thank you, Jules. I love you. And yeah, I highly recommend this book. I highly recommend really any Emily Henry book except for The People We Meet on Vacation. And then I received a book that yes, I have already read. I read it a long time ago, but it is to complete my collection. And this one came from my friend Catherine, and it says, "Happy birthday, Pop. Here's a little, or not so little, something for your birthday. Hope you enjoy it and that you have an amazing birthday. Love you, bestie," from Catherine. And it is House of Sky and Breath by Sarah J. Maas. I have this book on my Kindle, but I wanted the physical copies because my plan is to read them and tab them because I've started rereading ACOTAR and tabbing it. And so I want to reread the first book in the series and then this one, and then I will read book number 3. So I'm very excited to have this because like I said, I do want to start rereading this. And again, it is a big boy, but I'm not going to go too much into detail with this because it is a complicated storyline that kind of takes everything. It takes a little bit of everything and puts it into a book. Let's just leave it at that. And so I greatly enjoyed this book. I'm really looking forward to reading it again. And Catherine, I love you for sending it to me, just like you sent me the first one for Christmas. So then I received, I'm not really going in any particular order just because I don't remember when I received them. My lovely friend Mimi sent me this one, and it's The Near Witch by V.E. Schwab. I have not read this book yet. I really love V.E. Schwab as an author. I've read pretty much all of her books. At least her adult books, young adult books. I read the first of her middle grade series. Haven't gone much farther into that one, but this one is about Lexi, and it says, the Near Witch is only an old story told to frighten children. If the wind calls at night, you must not listen. The wind is lonely and always looking for company. There are no strangers in the town of Near. These are the truths that Lexi has heard all her life, but when an actual stranger, a boy who seems to fade like smoke, appears outside her home on the moor at night, she knows that at least one of these sayings is no longer true. The next night, the children of Near start disappearing from their beds, and the mysterious boy falls under suspicion. As the hunt for the children intensifies, so does Lexi's need to know about the witch that just might be more than a bedtime story and about the history of this nameless boy. I'm very excited to read this. It's been on my list for a really long time, so Mimi, I appreciate it. Thank you. And I'm looking very forward to diving into it. So then I received from Anna, happy birthday, hope you enjoy this as much as I did, and it's Alone with You in the Ether by Olivia Blake. I have attempted to read other Olivia Blake books, but I have not been successful, so I am hoping that this one works. I have Masters of Death, I think is what it's called, on my shelf, but I have not read it yet. So this one is True Love is Just a Matter of Time, an intimate story of time, space, and the nature of love from best-selling author of The Atlas Six. Two people meet in the Art Institute by chance. Prior to their encounter, he is a doctoral student who managed his destructive thoughts with compulsive calculations about time travel. She is a bipolar counterfeit artist undergoing court-ordered psychotherapy. By the end of the story, these things will still be true, but this is not a story about endings. For Reagan, people are predictable and tedious, including and perhaps especially herself. She copes with the dreariness of existence by living impulsively, imagining a new alternate timeline being created in the wake of every rash decision. To Aldo, the world feels disturbed disturbingly chaotic. He gets through his days by erecting a wall of routine, a backbeat of rules and formulas that keep him going. Without them, the entire framework of his existence would collapse. For Regan and Aldo, life has been a matter of resigning themselves to the blueprints of inevitability until the two meet. Could 6 conversations with a stranger be the variable that shakes up the entire simulation? So I'm excited for this because as a person in the mental health field, I am drawn to books like this to kind of see how they do in regards to representation of these different disorders. So I'm very excited to get into this. I'm very excited to read it. And I've heard good things, I've heard bad things. I know people that have loved it, I know people that have hated it. And so I'm excited to see where I fall in it. And so I'm very excited to pick this up. So again, Anna, thank you. I adore you. Next, I received this book from another Kristen who is, there are 3 Kristens on the Discord group and we are called Snap, Crackle, and Pop. I am Pop. And so this says, I saw the first book was your May favorite. I hope the second book is just as good. Happy birthday, Pop. I hope you have an amazing day and I'm so happy to be the snap to your pop. From Kristen. Snap. And it is Leather and Lark by Brian Weaver. I read Butcher and Blackbird in May and I loved it. Like she said, it was the top read of the month. This is a dark romance trilogy and it's kind of set up the same way like the Wisteria Society is. Like you meet Butcher and Blackbird in this one and then you're following Leather and Lark, who are characters from this one and this one. And so basically, to give you a rundown, this book starts with 2 serial killers, Sloane and Rowan. Rowan is the butcher of Boston and Sloane is, he thinks she should be called Blackbird, but she's like the Weaver. And so they're both serial killers, but they are serial killers that go after more terrible, ruthless serial killers. So it's serial killers that kill serial killers. And it is graphic. There is spice, but it's also really funny and really witty and a lot of back and forth. And I did genuinely enjoy this. I jumped in, I couldn't put it down. It was just fun. And I love a good, fun, dark romance. There's not the creepy factor of other books that you see in the dark romance series. There's no mob bosses, there's none of that, but it is still really, really good. And so again, it was my top read for May. I really enjoyed it. I had a good time with it. It's an interesting take on serial killers and kind of what they do and how they're each different. This one is following Leather, who I believe is Butcher's brother, and Lark, who is Sloane's best friend, and how they meet. I think it ends up being a fake dating trope situation. Yeah, he has to marry her. So it's it's like marriage of convenience, fake marriage. They hate each other, enemies to lovers, I assume. I haven't read it yet. I want to. I'm so looking forward to it. And so Snap, I'm thrilled. Thank you. Thank you. So then from the other Kristen in our group, because there's 3 of us, like I said, Snap, Crackle, and Pop. Crackle and I have a love of horror and thriller and mystery. And so I read Mexican Gothic last month and I really enjoyed it. And so she sent me the daughter of Dr. Moreau, and she said, happy birthday, my darling, from Crackle. And so this one is written by the same person that wrote Mexican Gothic. And this one says, Carlotta Moreau, a young woman growing up on a remote and luxuriant estate, safe from the conflict and strife of the Yucatan Peninsula. The only daughter of a researcher who is either a genius or a madman. Montgomery Lawton, a melodic overseer with a tragic past and a propensity for alcohol. An outcast to assist Carlotta's father with his experiments, which are financed by the Lizelds, owners of magnificent haciendas and plentiful offers. The hybrids, the fruits of the doctor's labor, destined to blindly obey their creator and remain in the shadows. A motley group of part human, part animal monstrosities. All of them live in a perfectly balanced and static world, which is jolted by the abrupt arrival of Eduardo Lizeld, the charming and careless son of Dr. Moreau's patron, who will unwittingly begin a dangerous chain reaction. For Moreau keeps secrets, Carlotta has questions, and in the sweltering heat of the jungle, passions may ignite. So I'm excited. It's not that long, which I enjoy. And so I'm excited to dive back into this world with Silvia Moreno Garcia and kind of see how she writes this one, because like I said, I found Mexican Gothic very intriguing. And so I'm curious to see about this one as well. It sounds intriguing, it sounds fun, and I'm looking forward to reading it, and I'm hoping that I can buddy read it. So Crackle, thank you, love you. Then I got something I have been waiting to get for so long, because for some reason I cannot justify buying these myself because they are expensive for what they are, but I have heard so many wonderful things about this world and about this story, and I'm a huge fan of like Greek mythology, the Olympians, you know, Olympus, Zeus, Hades, all of that. And so, but for some reason, I just could not get myself to buy them. So Sam, I appreciate it. And she said, I hope you enjoyed the crap out of this book. Wishing you a beautiful birthday. Happy birthday, friend, from Sam. And Sam got me the first volume 1 of Lore Olympus, which I'm very excited to dive into. It is so beautiful. The artwork, the illustrations, they are so beautiful. And so in this one, you're following Persephone and Hades and their story, and I'm sure it's changed and still beautiful. And because if you know anything, you know that Persephone is the daughter of Demeter and was raised in the mortal realm, and she is responsible for spring and summer. Anyway, so that's the old story. But then Hades falls in love with her, and she's allowed to only come back up to Earth for her 2 seasons. And so she lives half of her life on the mortal realm and then half of her life in hell, basically, with Hades. So this one is set more current day, I believe. Like I said, haven't read yet. Set more current day, but she is now the goddess of spring, is new to Olympus. Her mother Demeter had raised her in the mortal realm, but after Persephone promises to train as a sacred virgin, she's allowed to live in the fast-moving, glamorous world of the gods. When her roommate Artemis takes her to a party, her entire life changes. She ends up meeting Hades and feels an immediate spark with the charming yet misunderstood ruler of the underworld. Now Persephone must navigate the confusing politics and relationships that rule Olympus while also figuring out her own place and her own power. So, very excited. Thank you, Sam. I'm probably going to read this and then I have to go buy the rest of them. I think there's like 6 volumes out now. Can you imagine? And then last but certainly not least, I got this one from my friend Laura. She said, happy birthday, beautiful. Love you so much, from Laura. And it's When the Moon Hatched by Sarah A. Parker. This book really just drew me in because, hello, is that the dragon I see? That is a dragon I see. I don't know much about this book. I will read the back to you, but I was really excited. It's a big boy. I have a friend of mine that read it, and she said that part of her regrets reading it because the series is not complete, and the way that it ends, she's upset that she didn't wait. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I can't tell you how many times I've done that to myself, where I have read a book and I didn't realize it was a series, and then I was like, well, crap. Or it ends on a total cliffhanger and you're just mad at yourself. Thank you, Fourth Wing. So this one says, as an assassin for the rebellion group Fleur de Ath, Rave's job is to complete orders and never get caught. When a rival bounty hunter turns her world upside down, blood spills, hearts break, and Rave finds herself imprisoned by the Guild of Nobles, a group of powerful fae who turn her into a political statement. Crushed by the loss of his great love, Can Vager took the head of a king and donned his melted crown. Now, on a tireless quest to quell the never-ebbing ache in his chest, a clue lures him to the capital's high-security prison where he stumbles upon the imprisoned Rave. Echoes of the past race between them. There's more to their story than meets the eye, but some truths are too poisonous to swallow. So this is very much a high fantasy kind of story, which I'm very excited to dive into. So Laura, thank you. Excited. I've been on a fantasy kick. I've been on a fantasy thriller kick lately. So that's been a fun little mix. So those are all the books that I received from friends for my birthday. And now we're gonna go through the books that I purchased for my birthday. So the first 2 that I'm gonna show you, I picked up from Half Price Books. I did not necessarily get them for my birthday, but because I got them around my birthday, I've decided to include them in the book haul. And so the first one I got is Half-Blood by Jennifer Armentrout. I have read the first several books of the Blood and Ash series, but I started to feel like that book was getting too big for its britches, that series was, and then there was prequels I had to read. It was just kind of one of those things where I was like, this is getting to be too much, I think I need to stop. And so I did, I stopped. Not to mention the stories were getting a little repetitive and the characters were becoming very similar to one another, and to be honest, love triangles aren't my thing, and I could kind of feel one growing, and I was like, meh, nope, you can't make me love one guy for so many books and then bring in this other one. And anyway, So I enjoyed the first couple of those books, first 3 books of those three or four books in that series, but this one sounds very different. This is more like young adult. And I do like the way Jennifer Armentrout writes, so I wanted to give it a go. It says 17-year-old Alex and her mother have spent years on the run from the Covenant, a school where the pure descendants of gods hone their powers, and half-mortal teens like Alex trying to kill Daemons for them. But when her mom is murdered by Daemons and she has nobody else to turn to, Alex finds herself back at the Covenant, where she has 2 options: become a servant for the Pures or work twice as hard as everyone else to catch up in her training. The second option seems like an easy choice, but everything gets complicated when pureblood Aiden volunteers to be her personal trainer. Because not only is Aiden gorgeous, but he also understands Alex in a way she's never experienced before. Unfortunately, relationships between Pures and Half-Bloods are strictly forbidden. But falling for Aiden isn't her biggest problem, as she learns the true reason her mother whisked her away from the Covenant and Daemon's close in on the school. She must fight to stay alive, even if it's her fault those around her are dropping dead. So I'm excited to read it. It sounds intriguing. We'll see how it goes. If anything, I spent less than $12 on it, so I'm not that upset. And then I bought Killers of a Certain Age because I've heard wonderful, wonderful things about this book, and it was under $10. And so it says Billy, Marie, Alice, Helen, and Natalie have worked for the Museum of Elite Network of Assassins for 40 years. Now their talents are considered old school, and no one appreciates what they have to offer in an age that relies more on technology than people skills. When the foursome is sent on an all-expenses-paid vacation to mark their retirement, they are targeted by one of their own. Only the board, the top-level members of the museum, can order the termination of field agents, and the women realize they've been marked for death. Now, to get out alive, they may have to turn against their own organization, relying on experience and one another to get the job done. Knowing that working together is the secret to their survival, they're about to teach the board what it really means to be a woman and killer of a certain age. So it's like older women, older assassins living their life, and then it becomes a big fun thing. So I'm excited. I've heard really great things about it. I know that it's a favorite of some people that I've talked to, so I'm excited to dive in. These are the kind of stories that I like. It sounds like it's going to be great fun, a great little fun adventure, and probably pretty funny. So now on to the books that I purchased. So on my actual birthday, my lovely husband, he spoiled me, and we went and got coffee. We got delicious treats, macaroons made by a friend of his, and we went book shopping. And when we went book shopping, he told me I had 10 minutes to look around and then 5 minutes to put stuff in the cart. So this is what kind of came out of that. I still spent under the limit, so be proud of me there. And then we went and saw If with Ryan Reynolds and John Krasinski, which was very cute. If you get a chance to see it, you probably should. It's really cute. So these are all the books that I got from Barnes & Noble, and I will do my best to explain them to you. Otherwise, I'll just read you the back, because if you've been here for a while, you understand that I do not give the best descriptions of books. I never have, I never will. I will just read you the back, because it's what intrigued me, so it's what's gonna intrigue you, maybe. So the first book here on my stack is Dreadful by Caitlin Rosakis. It is a Barnes & Noble exclusive edition. I think it is the cutest book. Like, look at that. Look at those edges. Barnes & Noble are upping their sprayed edges game, by the way. I'm just saying. So this one says, it's bad enough waking up in a half-destroyed evil wizard's workshop with no eyebrows, no memories, and no idea how long you have before the Dreadlord, whomever, shows up to murder you horribly and then turn your skull into a goblet or something. It's a lot worse when you realize the Dreadlord, whomever, is you. Gab isn't really sure how he ended up with a castle full of goblins, or why he has a princess locked in a cell. All he can do is play along with his own evil plan in hopes of getting his memories back before he gets himself killed. But as he realizes that nothing, from the incredibly tasteless cloak adorned with flames to the princess, is quite what it seems, Gav must face up to all the things the Dreadlord Gavrox has done, and I'll have to answer the hardest question of all. Who does he want to be? This sounds like it's going to be a good time. I'm very excited. These types of stories have really been drawing me in. Like I said, like silly, strange, different types of stories. Like I read Assistant to the Villain and I loved it, and like I said, I read Butcher and Blackbird, all of those little kind of goofier, stranger stories from perspectives you don't quite understand. I've been drawing myself into those, and so I'm excited to read this one. Then I picked up The Measure by Nikki Erlich. I've heard good things about this book. It's also on my list of buzzwords to read. And this one says, it seems like any other day. You wake up, pour a cup of coffee, and head out. But today, when you open your front door, waiting for you is a small wooden box. This box holds your fate inside, the answer to the exact number of years you will live. From suburban doorsteps to desert tents, every person on every continent receives the same box. In an instant, the world is thrust into a collective frenzy. As society comes together and pulls apart, everyone faces the same shocking choice. Do they wish to know how long they'll live? And if so, what will they do with the knowledge? The measure charts the dawn of this new world through an unforgettable cast of characters whose decisions and fates interweave with one another. Best friends whose dreams are forever entwined, pen pals finding refuge in the unknown, a couple who thought they didn't have to rush, a doctor who cannot save himself, and a politician whose box becomes the powder keg that ultimately changes everything. I'm excited. I've heard really good things about this book. And like I said, it's on my buzzword challenge, so I'm looking forward to reading this one. I've heard mixed reviews, I've heard good things, so I'm excited to get that one read. Then this one was, I grabbed this one because another booktuber I enjoy read it, or bought it because it sounded intriguing. And again, I'm into those goofier kind of stories. And so this one is How to Become the Dark Lord and Die Trying by Django Wexler. This one says Davy has done this all before. She's tried to be the hero and take down the all-powerful Dark Lord. 100 times she's rallied humanity and made the final charge, but the time loop always gets her in the end. Sometimes she's killed quickly, sometimes it takes a while, but she's been defeated every time. This time she's done being the hero and done being stuck in this endless time loop. If the Dark Lord always wins, then maybe that's who she needs to be. It's Davy's turn to play on the winning side. So I'm very excited for this. It sounds like it's gonna be funny and witty and silly in some ways, but also really just a great time. People are saying it's funny as heck. There's, you know, I don't know. We're gonna find out together because I think I may read this for a vlog, but we'll see. I'm excited. I may do a vlog of just all these goofy, weird storied books that I have and go from there, like Dreadful and How to Become the Dark Lord and Leather and Lark and all of these weird books that I find myself getting into. So then the next one I bought has gotten mixed reviews, but I'm excited to read it because when my love for reading re-sparked, I guess, I was following this author on TikTok and I was kind of seeing how she was doing in writing it and when she got published, and so I was really excited to get my hands on it. Again, there's mixed reviews. People have really enjoyed it. They are loving her writing style. They love the story. Some people say it's a fun time, so I'm excited to read it, and that is Powerless by Lauren Roberts. So this is another fun little like fae story. And so this one says, the elites have possessed powers for decades, gifted to them by the plague, while those born ordinary are just that, banished from the kingdom of Ilya and shunned from society. No one knows this better than Peyton Gray, an ordinary posing as a psychic to blend in with the elites. But when she unwittingly saves one of Ilya's princes, Kai Azer, she's thrown into the purging trials, a brutal competition showcasing the elites' powers. If the trials and the opponents within them don't kill her, the prince she's fighting feelings for will if he discovers what Peyton is. Completely ordinary. Sounds like there's gonna be some intrigue, deception, politics, trials. It sounds like it's gonna be a good time. So with that one, I also grabbed Powerful. Very small, very cute. And this is it's a powerless story. It's like a little novella that follows two characters inside Powerless. So that'll be fun. It'll be a good time. I'm excited. So then this one I already read in about 2 days again. And in all honesty, the cover is what drew me in, and that is Home is Where the Bodies Are by Geneva Rose. This is a thriller, and this thriller kind of horror follows three siblings who have come together after about 7 years when their mother passes away, and they each have their own opinions about each other and how their childhood went, and mom and dad have buried secrets and bodies, and so they find this all out from a VHS tape that accidentally filmed some things at the end that wasn't supposed to, and so it's unraveling the history, it's figuring out what happened, it's a lot of intrigue, and it's kind of like you don't really know what's happening, you don't quite know who to trust. There's a lot of, it follows the perspective of 4 people, so you get chapters from Beth, who's the oldest, Nicole, who's the middle child, Michael, who's the youngest, and then Laura, who is the mom who's passed away. And so the story unravels, they're learning more about their history and their past, and it all comes to a head at the end, obviously, and it's very good, it's very intriguing. I gave it 4 stars. It's worth it to me. It's worth it to me. The read is nice. I didn't personally see the end coming. I don't know what I thought was gonna happen, but it wasn't that. And it was good. I enjoyed it. I had a good time. It was fun. And I like her writing style, so I may pick up other books by her, even though she gets a little bit of back and forth reviews from people that I trust. But I enjoyed this one. I had a good time with it. Again, it took me 2 days, and it was a fun time. Like I said, I've been into fantasy and thrillers lately, so it's worked out for me. So then I picked up The Familiar by Leigh Bardugo. This one has been on my radar, on my lists for this year because it was just released this year. I love Leigh Bardugo. I really enjoyed Ninth House. I really enjoyed Hellbent, and so I'm really excited to dive into this world. This is very much like, it seems much darker. And so it says, in a shabby house on a shabby street in the new capital of Madrid, Luza Catado uses scraps of magic to get through her days of endless toil as a scullion. But when her scheming mistress discovers that the lump of a servant cowering in the kitchen is actually holding a talent for little miracles, she demands Luzia use those gifts to better the family's social position. What begins as simple amusement for the nobility takes a perilous turn when Luzia garners the notice of Antonio Perez, the disgraced secretary to Spain's king. Still reeling from the defeat of his armada, the king is desperate for any advantage in the war against England's heretic queen, and Perez will stop at nothing to regain the king's favor. Determined to seize this one chance to better her fortunes, Luzia plunges into a world of seers and alchemists, holy men and hucksters, where the lines between magic, science, and fraud are never certain. But as her notoriety grows, so does the danger that her Jewish blood will doom her to the Inquisition's wrath. She will have to use every bit of her wit and will to survive, even if that means enlisting the help of Gillian Santangel, an embittered immortal familiar whose own secrets could prove deadly for them both. So, this book is so freaking pretty. So it has like the black sprayed edges, but man, look at that. It's so pretty. I really like it. And I really like Leigh Bardugo, so let's be honest. The only reason I really picked it up is because it was Leigh Bardugo. And it sounds intriguing, doesn't it? It sounds quite intriguing to me. I have so many books. Not to mention, I'm going to do a vlog that has like, you're going to go through my bookshelves with me and we're going to talk about my TBR that is all of my bookshelves and books I've read and books I haven't read. So that'll be fun. Then the next book I have is A Tempest of Tea by Hafsa Faisal. Sorry if I butchered that. I'm not great with names. This book has been highly recommended to me. This book was all over the 2024 new releases, and I'm excited to dive into it. It says, on the streets of White Warring, Arthi Casimir is a criminal mastermind and collector of secrets. Her prestigious tea room transforms into an illegal bloodhouse by night, catering to the vampires feared by society. But when her establishment is threatened, Arthi is forced to strike an unlikely deal with an alluring adversary to save it, and she can't do the job alone. Calling on some of the city's most skilled outcasts, Arthi hatches a plan to infiltrate the sinister, glittering vampire society known as the Ethereum, but not everyone in her raging crew is on her side, and as the truth behind the heist unfolds, Arthi finds herself in the midst of a conspiracy that will threaten the world as she knows it. So, vampires, I'm in. Come on now. Come on now. I love vampires. I have always loved vampire lore and everything around it, and rice, yes, please. And so yeah, I'm gonna dive right on into this one, and it's gonna be a darn tootin' good time. Last, but certainly not least, I picked up The Tainted Cup by Robert Jackson Bennett. This book is stunning. Look at it. It is stunning. So this one says, in D'Artagnan's grandest mansion, an imperial officer lies dead, killed to all appearances, when a tree erupted from his body. Even here, at the Empire's borders, when contagions abound and the blood of the Leviathans works strange magical changes, it's a death both terrifying and impossible. Assigned to investigate is Anna Del Barra, a detective whose reputation for brilliance is matched only by her eccentricities. Rumor has it that she always wears a blindfold and can solve impossible cases without stepping outside the walls of her home. At her side is her new assistant, Denius Cole, magically altered in ways that make him the perfect aid to Anna's brilliance. Den is at turns scandalized, perplexed, and infuriated by his new superior, but as the two close in on a mastermind, and Anna makes one startling deduction after the next, he realizes that she is indeed the Empire's greatest detective, and wonders how long he can keep his own secrets safe from her piercing intellect. I'm excited. I think it's gonna be a fun time. I love little detective stories, and I love people with eccentricities because, I mean, come on, who doesn't have them? Who in this world is not a little eccentric? There you have it, my friends. That is all of the books I received for my birthday, either bought by myself, technically, or my husband, or my friends, and so I have a lot to read. I have a lot of changes to make to my shelves because I don't really know how I'm gonna fit all these on here. Luckily, I have some out in the living room I can use. So until next time, my friends, I hope you are living your life to the absolute fullest. You are loving yourself unconditionally, and you are reading some really, really, really great books, and I will see you next time. Bye.